Hi everyone, it's Jenny with Joey and Jenny's Little Yellow House. We're here on YouTube and Instagram at Joey143Jenny, and then we're also on Facebook at Joey and Jenny's Little Yellow House. So I'm back with my fabric flips and my belly band. Gosh, couldn't even think. And I'm going to embellish them a little bit. Hopefully, I can complete them. Didn't get it all done in the first video. So I think the very first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and embellish this belly band with the different little trims that I have found. And let me grab my piece of my paper towel. Let's get started because you know how I run out of time. And let's just put a thin, if I can, this thing is just ready to roll. Put a thin here. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. I'll just get a little bit of that off. Hopefully. Okay. I'm going to get another one. Okay. That's why I cut these into little pieces, because I don't typically need a full one, and if I have a full one, I'm going to use it too much, I would have thrown it in the bin already, and I don't need to. So I'm going to just put that down. Now let's see if I can do this one without it just going berserko. I'm using the Fabri-Tac because it works really well with fabric to fabric. You can use it with paper, if you want to use it to put paper down, which it does work really well. It doesn't dry as fast, so you do have a little bit more wiggle room than you would with, let's say, your art glitter glue. And of course, like you saw in the earlier video, you can also do fabric to paper or paper to fabric too. Okay, on this one, I'm going to smooth it out just a little bit because I don't want, it's very thin embellishment, and I don't want you to be able to see that. So I'm just going to give it a little thin smush there, and hopefully it won't bleed through too much. Okay, let's just trim these up. All right, and all of these are big enough to go back in the scrap bin because they'll be used for, oh gosh, who knows what we'll use them for. I've used scraps smaller than that with a slow stitch. So, okay. So then my next thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to add something Cathe Holden to each one. Somewhere, somehow. There's our train. This particular conductor comes through every once in a while, and his little train toots are different than the rest of them, and they're a lot more fun, I think. I love them all, but his kind of go toot toot toot, So I don't know. These are again kind of what we call auditioning. I'm just laying a few things down to see what we would like to do, what might need a little more color here or there. And some of these may be just fine on their own. I like these two. I like how those are turning out. This one, use my pinkings here. These are my baby pinkings. I got these at on Amazon. So that might work there. Let me just see if there's a little something we can put here. These are sweet. Little robin's nest. Well, let's cut one out and place it, and we'll see. We might do it, we might not. I also left out my trim pieces in case we decide we want to add some trim. Which we may. Which we may. So this one we just did. Let's find if we have a white. Needs to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, that's kind of cute. That's off of a handkerchief. I can iron it a little later, but I'm going to pin it on there now. Let's see if I can get it pinned in a couple of spots. So, I mean, if you've never made a fabric flip, they do not need to be this layered up. I just have this thing about adding. And I love to slow stitch, so it's kind of a combo for me. Just going to rough cut around. Then we'll fray the edges. It won't matter that it's too rough. If it's a little goofy, we'll fix it. But okay, so then let's move this up a little ways. Like that. Okay. All right. That one's good. This one I think is good. This one might need a little something. Now, in lieu of this, I also traced my art glitter glue bottle on this scrap. I got this, it was a quilt scrap. So my thought with this was, if I couldn't figure anything out that I, really thought went really well, I would make a yo-yo real quick and use it. So that's also a possibility right here. Or both. Let's make it real fast and see if we can use both of them. Just using a little piece of thread that I had. I'm going to just go around the edge. Trying to stay, pretty close to the same distance from the edge as I go around. Now, typically these are usually a little bit bigger, but I thought a baby one would be cute. Okay. We're getting there. So yeah, so today is just going to be a little bit of hand sewing. For the most part, we did glue on a few things, and we will glue on maybe a few embellishments, but for the most part, I think we're just going to do a little bit of hand sewing today. Okay. And let me just use this as my gatherer. to me, it's always hard to decide which part of the yo-yo to use, because I think the gathered part is super cute. And then I think the look of the button on the back, not an actual button, but the way it looks like a little button is cute too. All right, so let me just secure this with a couple of stitches here. And we'll decide. I'm making these stitches just as tiny as I can. Okay. Maybe one more. Okay. Okay, there's that. And then there it is. Let's see if I can get it rounded out. I think it looks better that way. But I'm going to put you on pause for a second. I'm going to go iron it flat just because it's in the journal. And I want it to be as flat as possible. So hold tight just for a second, please. Okay, so I've gotten it as flat as I can get it. And I think I'm just going to add it right there. But I think I'm going to add it after I stitch this little thing down. So I'm going to go ahead and get stitching. Go ahead and just tack with some pins these a little bit. That one's good. This one I need to just tack down. There's no right or wrong way to do this. That's what's so great about it, is just do whatever you feel. And if you need to come back and look at it later and decide, that's cool. That's good too. So let's go ahead and get started on this one. I threaded a couple of needles, and I'm going to use embroidery thread. I just put 2 strands in. This I'm going to move down just a little bit. Make sure I can get the full thing on. Okay. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a running stitch around it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'll try to stay somewhat even with my stitches. Right now, I'm on that backing, that paper, so I'm not really weaving in and out. I'm just poking in and going. That one's a little wonky. Okay, so I'm going to take that one out. And like that. Another thing I did was I waxed the thread. Since I'm going through so many layers, I was hoping that would help. Okay, I'm not trying to show off or anything, but I did just thread that without my needle threader, which usually doesn't happen if I'm wearing my glasses. Usually I have to get my, get it right up to my eye. But today, I'm a pro. See? A pro. So this just adds another little layer, and it also adds just a really sweet element. The stitching. You don't have to know a bunch of embroidery, different embroidery, stitches or anything like that. You can just do it like this. Now I'm really going through a lot of layers right now. Also, you don't have to wax, you don't have to wax the thread. When I was a young girl in high school, my friend's mom, and I did this with safety, with when I had my babies, and I use cloth diapers, and so with the safety pins I did this. But you would just take your needle and run it through your hair. I know that might sound gross these days, but it's really not. And that natural oil would help the needle and the thread go through. Just don't bonk your head with the needle. But sometimes, those safety pins when you had cloth diapers were, well, they weren't really coated nice, plus they were getting wet all the time. So in order to be able to get them back through that lump of diaper, if you couldn't get it pushed through and you had those wiggly legs going, run it through your hair and get that diaper on that baby. I always loved little cloth diapers on my girls, and their little rubber panties look like little duck bottoms waddling around. So when somebody flips this up to right under it, it's still going to look nice. And again, even if your stitches aren't, perfect or in a row or whatever, just that character of the hand stitching or the hand piecing and putting together is pretty cool. Okay. All right. Let's tie this off. Since we're going to glue it down, I don't need to tie it off, super duper secure, because the glue is going to be on it. Hold it down. Okay. All right, one down. Well, almost one down. Now we're going to put this little guy on, and you can definitely stitch it on, but I'm just going to glue it on. And then I thought, why don't we go ahead and put it in the book and let it be drying whilst we're doing the rest of them. Then we might put like a little something dangling from it. Let's see what we have. I don't think I want black. Okay. Let's put, isn't this pretty? And it's all pretty. But what I'd like is something very, very thin. This is very thin. Looks like this might have been like maybe a tablecloth or something. A little piece of sari silk would be good too, but I don't have it with me right now. Let's just put this too. Let's see if this is going to bulk it up too much. It might be too much. We'll see. I think it's okay. Yeah. Alrighty. One down. Let's get it in the book. We've already used 20 minutes, but let's get this in the book. Okay. See how pretty that's going to look? Can this hold it? I think it can. Ooh. What's on this other side here? Ooh, I think that looks so pretty there. Let's do that. Okay, let's do that. All right. Go along both sides. This thing is just gooing up. I don't know why I have such difficulty with my Fabri-Tac. Okay. And like I said, it gives you a little bit of, you know, wiggle room because it's not a fast dry. So press that down. Okay, we'll just let it sit for a minute while we work on these other ones. I'm happy with that. Okay. All right, let's do this one. Now. I'm gonna go around the rose. It's a little tricky because it's so thick. Very thick, actually. Just do a few stitches, then I'll put you on pause and do a few more so that, you know, we don't run out of time. These I'm trying to keep a little bit tinier. Every time I come up, I poke my thumb. Okay, so see, we're just going to go around the petals there. And I'm going to pause it and I'll be right back. Okay, so what I did was I just did that same stitch and I just kind of went around some of the main points of this rose. And if I were appliquing, I would probably trim this. I would do the leaves and then I would trim it around it, unless I tucked under, which I wouldn't on something like this. But I kind of like how it looks just leaving it like this. So I think I'm going to leave that one that way. Let's find a spot for that. So this one we put in the front. Let's see if about something in the back here. Kind of even out the distribution of weight and thickness. Okay, there's that page again. And I think maybe would this hold on there? Go back that way. Another thing is, you know, once you have one on here, you would probably need to flip it up to be able to write on this side too, you know, so, or use a writing board. But I think that's not a bad spot for it. I think it kind of dresses it up. I don't know. Let's see if I can find something else, but that's a good... thumb through. I think I'm going to put it here. Well, let's see, where are we going to put the... Okay, yeah, that's far enough from the... I want to make sure it's not too close to the belly band that we're going to put. So, okay, let's get some of that. Put it on here with the glue. Put a little bit on the fabric at the top here. I'm just going to go down a little ways because that top part of this old ledger seems a little bit fragile. Okay. All right. All right. Good. Let's let that dry for a little bit. Oops. Hit you. All right, so here we are, and then what I did was, while I was on pause, I sewed a little bit of this one on, and this one I'm just putting on like a patch. So I'm just doing, again, a little running stitch around here, and I'm having to do it one at a time because of the thickness. It's hard to just keep going with a running stitch when it's so thick. Yikes. Also, I wanted to tell you that, you know, if you don't have access to scraps, maybe you don't sew or know a quilter, or, you know, maybe you don't purchase on Etsy. That's a pretty big stitch there, but it's okay. You can, if you have a quilting store near you, sometimes the quilting stores will have a scrap bin, and I get a lot of scraps there. The newer scraps that I get. I'm looking to see that I'm not off the edge here. I'm going to put a cattywampus stitch right there. But like, for instance, some quilting stores will do, you know, they'll have different classes for quilters, and then they have these little scraps left over. Or they'll make a quilt or a wall hanging as a display to showcase a fabric line. And I was tickled pink when I went to our, well, I say local, it's in another town, but I call it local because it's probably the closest one. But I was tickled when I went and looked at their scraps, and they had some Cathe Holden scraps in there. And basically the way that, I'm going to grab this out. Basically the way that that little quilt store does it is you fill a little baggie. I think it's like a quart size. And you fill it with as many as you can of scraps. And you pay by the bag. I'm just putting a little stitch row along this oh, what am I trying to say? Not lace, but we'll call it lace because I can't think of the name. Just because it looks like it's odd without it. But anyway, so they'll charge, like, I think it's like $2 a bag or baggie or whatever. And I'll show you a trick. If you have something like that, I'll show you a trick that I learned from my dad. And you may already know this trick, but maybe you haven't applied it to, you know, a grab bag like that. But let me show you this. Just going to tie a quick knot. Double it up. Okay. So, when I was little, my dad was, in the military, and he would come home sometimes, or he'd have to pack to go out wherever he was going. And so he would pack his duffel bag, and everything he packed, he would roll. And so we've learned to even do that when packing suitcases. So if you're going on a long trip and you just want to do a carry-on, if you'll use this method, then you can get a lot more in a short space. But basically, you fold it you fold it, to keep raw edges in. So if it's a t-shirt, you would fold your arms in, and then you would just roll it as tight as you could, like this. And you would just keep rolling all your shirts, your jeans, whatever you have, your socks. Socks can go inside your shoes. You probably already know that. But anyways, when I go to the grab bag, I do the same thing. I roll up as tight as I can the fabric, and I'll put it in that little Ziploc bag, and you would not believe how much fabric you can get in a little quart Ziploc by doing it this way. So much. So if your place offers that, it might be something that you can do. All right, let's get this down. It's going to be so cute. So cute. That's not the one I want to use. No wonder I haven't used it in a while, so it's stuck. I'm just going to go at the very top because I want to be able to tuck some stuff in there. Okay. Okay. Get that put together. Get my fingers cleared off. So I'm not going to be able to put something that's a big page in, under here, because one, I made the belly band a little bit shorter in length, and then two, I have the glue. So, but I can fit something a nice size in there. It would be fun. Be fun to do. So that definitely adds. All right, let's look back and look at. So we're adding to this little journal here. So there's one fabric flip, and we put a little thing here. If I find a charm, I'll see about that. I don't know, it might be too bulky, but I thought that turned out good. And then we can write our secret message in here. Let me fold that back a little bit. Write our secret message. I love Joey, like that. Okay. Move on through. Here's our center. I think that turned out so pretty. I can't go by that without doing that. Here's our belly band. And here's another one. We didn't do this one, and I'll finish it up, but I'm not real sure it's going to go in here because we already have two, plus we have the belly band. So I just don't know that we'll have this in here or not. But it'll be finished for to use somewhere else. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for hanging with me and going through that, finishing those up and getting them in the book. And I think it's gonna be a great start. I think it'll be a great start. And just remember, you don't have to match everything. It's fun. So the next person that goes through this is going to have a chance to look at all these little pieces, all these different little pieces, by themselves and then collectively. So it'll be neat. So yeah, don't worry about that. Uh-oh. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Huh, I don't even know where that came from. Anyways, everybody, thank you for hanging out with me today. And just remember, we pray blessings over you, each of you. And we just want to remind you that you are so loved. So thanks again, everyone. Thank you for subscribing and sharing. And thank you for your sweet comments. And all our new subscribers, we're super excited to have you. You know, we're continue to work towards meeting our goals. And so thank you for those of you that have come aboard and subscribed to help support us. We really appreciate that. And we could use your prayers in our endeavors. We just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing and that we're adding, you know, love to the world. And yeah, so thank you, everybody. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.